What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for March 5th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Before we get into today's episode, two quick things. One, on this day in Philly Sports History, back in 1953, the original Philly GOAT was born. Yes, I want to wish a very happy 71st birthday to my dad. If you have any way of getting in contact with him or if you see him out, wish him a very happy birthday. His work ethic and drive has definitely been instilled on me. It's one of the reasons I get up at 4:30 every day. Get up early on the weekends to make sure I'm getting this podcast out. So happy birthday, Dad. I love you. And if you have any way of getting in contact with the original Philly GOAT, wish him a happy birthday today. We sat down probably, I guess, about a year and a half ago. If you go back through the YouTube archives, there's a Back to the Future episode where him and I talk about Ali, Frazier, Philly boxing, and just becoming a Philly sports fan. It's pretty cool interview, so go check that out back on the YouTube. But happy birthday, Dad. And speaking of that work ethic and drive, this is not for my dad, but I was listening yesterday. It was raining in the morning, so I did my workout yesterday afternoon. As I'm walking, I'm listening to the New Heights podcast, and they had Arnold Schwarzenegger on. And he said something that really helped me this morning when I didn't want to get out of bed to go to the gym and work out. He said, don't quit because you're tired, quit because you're done, or something along those lines. And if it's a bonus positivity and motivation here on a Friday, but if that helps you out, great. It definitely helped me out as I'm laying in bed, wanting to hit the snooze button. I'm like, you know what? I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm tired, but I'm not done. So I got up. I had a pretty good workout at the gym too. So if you can do that, in the words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, don't quit because you're tired. Quit because you're done. He actually has a new book out. I downloaded it. I'm excited to start listening to it this weekend. All right. All of that. Let's go back now to a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, which former player was the biggest villain in Philly sports history? Not shocking. It was one Ben Simmons with 71% of the vote. He makes my skin crawl just thinking about him. But as always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. 267-495-8531 get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. And yeah, I mean, I no argument from here. Ben Simmons 100% is the biggest former villain in all Philly sports history. I would go as far as say all time. Like he might even be the biggest villain in sports history. That's if you can think of anybody, and it's hard because we look at things with a Philadelphia sports lens. But if you can think of anybody who's a bigger heel than Ben Simmons, let me know. We'll have some more wrestling-themed stuff throughout the weekend in honor of Wrestlemania. So stay tuned for that. I mentioned the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Get everything delivered. Back to the Future. The podcast is officially deleted. So within the next week or so, all of that podcast stuff will go away. But the videos will live on through the YouTube channel. So if you miss something or want to go back and check out and see how far I've come, go to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott, and subscribe. Every subscription helps. So tell your friends. We're trying to break the algorithm, and maybe not break it, but get the algorithm to sort of go in our favor. So go do that, and then hit me up on my social media, Twitter and TikTok, or X, I guess. But I look at it like this. If I can still type in twitter.com on my browser when I'm uploading and sharing stuff for promotion, if I can still do twitter.com, it'll be Twitter. You want it to be x.com, I'll start calling it X. But on my business cards, I do put X. So, but whatever. Anyway, TikTok and Twitter, Jimbo_Mott. Instagram, @PhillyJimbo. Hit me up on Facebook. Like I said, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and all that other good stuff. All right. And this did not take long. And I went from jumping back into my relationship with the Sixers, but being cautiously optimistic and making sure they're not going to suck me in and break my heart like an ex-girlfriend would. And here I am jumping in feet first. I mean, what a game. Great win. A game they needed. They came out on fire and sort of set the tone to what kind of game this was going to be. And it's part of the reason why I was a little sluggish getting up this morning. I stayed up and watched till the end. And while Joe was out, that fourth quarter, if Joe wasn't playing, I mean, obviously the game would have been different. But let's just say for the sake of argument, they were playing that game and Joe was not playing. While he was out, they lose that game in the fourth quarter. But they stuck with it. They did not give up. Kelly Oubre, just for whatever reason, was able to shut down Jimmy Butler. It just, what a game. 109-105. Tyrese Maxey was out of his mind, 37 points. Joe just 29 points in 34 minutes. The fact he's playing 34 minutes now, I think, and I heard some people on the radio this morning on the way to the gym talking about you don't want to play him back. Screw that. Screw not playing him back-to-back. You need to get him into game shape. He should be playing both games this weekend, as far as I'm concerned. But let me know what you think about that. Maybe I'm too far. I've jumped in too far head first or feet first, whatever you want to call it. But what a game. They're now 1 game back of Indiana for 6. They're a half game back of Miami, who Miami plays tonight in Houston. I believe it's in Houston. But, I mean, that's a key. So their 6th seed is well within their reach. And getting the 7th seed is going to be key because that means they'd have the home field advantage or home court advantage for that playing game. But, man, again, what a win. It was good to actually be able, like, the first game back, it was just like, oh, great, Joe's back, yay. But it felt good to yell at him again. Like, why are you taking that shot? Why are you holding the ball too long? And, again, when he makes them, who cares? But, man, it felt so good to be back. And, again, trust me, I know how this is going to end. That's why I'm kind of like, I got my head in my hands right now. Like, I know. I just cannot help myself. And looking forward to it. They have 2 winnable games coming up this weekend in Memphis and San Antonio. And then Miami and then Detroit. So, winnable games. Like, they have winnable games. We're going to be a Houston Rockets fan tonight. And that's going to be a tough game for the Heat because the Rockets are fighting for their playoff lives too. So, good win for the Sixers. Kelly Oubre was a beast in the fourth quarter. Maxey was a beast the whole game. Joe just did what Joe does, doing Joe things. Good to be back. Cannot wait 2 weeks from now to have my heart ripped out of my chest. But damn it, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to enjoy it. And nothing's going to stop me. And then we'll take a break until next year. Do it all over again. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. They did their NFL thing. They just recently started up an NBA thing. New cast, but still some good quality stuff. So go check the Clashing Conferences podcast out wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We do have some Eagles news, and guess who's back? Back again. Yes, Avonte Maddox, kind of like we expected when they cut him, is back. He signed a 1-year deal for less money, but he's still... I don't understand how the NFL salary cap works, but somehow cutting him and signing him to a lesser deal, he still gets paid something, but like the cap hit is less. But his cap hit is more than what the contracts. This is why Howie Roseman and his team makes the big money. But I like bringing him back. I think I still want to see them make some moves in the draft here, but I don't hate bringing him back. I just hope he can stay healthy. I mean, that's the biggest question with him. Jordan Mailata is not going anywhere. He signed a 3-year extension, which I really like this move. Helps solidify. He's got to be able to step up now as one of those leaders, him and Lane, while Lane's here. The WrestleMania moment, I guess. The Rock showed up late to his thing, and everybody was obviously a typical heel move. I 100% planned, but suspend disbelief here. But he gets on stage and said, "You know why The Rock was late? It's because I was busy watching YouTube clips of Jalen Hurts losing in the playoffs again," and got the heat. And it's cheap heat, But again, you got to love it. And you just, I don't know. I mean, I'm a huge wrestling fan. I'm excited to go down tomorrow night with my son. And just seeing him get really into it and knowing that we had no idea when we bought the tickets what the card was necessarily going to be, and knowing that we picked the right for him, what he likes, we picked the right card to go to. So looking forward to that. But that's not the real question of the day. But sticking with the WrestleMania theme, we've been doing sort of like the biggest heel and things like that. But what is your all-time favorite WrestleMania moment? This is not the official question of the day. Let me know. I'm curious to see. Hit me up on the socials, 267-495-8531 on the Back to the Future voice and text line. What's your all-time favorite WrestleMania moment? For me, there's only one, and it is when Hulk Hogan picked up Andre the Giant and slammed him at WrestleMania 3 in front of 93,000 people at the Pontiac Silverdome. Man, talk about just the stress that being a little kid at the time when Hogan tried to pick him up early in the match and his back was hurt. Oh, no, he's not going to pick him up. He's going to lose the championship, only to pick him up and slam him. I don't know. What is your favorite WrestleMania moment? I'll get more into Hulk Hogan tomorrow. But, yeah, 93,000 fans in the Pontiac Silverdome. But let me know your favorite WrestleMania moment. And last thing here on the Eagles, I will continue to say this every day until it gets done. Howie, sign Devontae. Why has this not been done yet? Like, it's starting to get a little concerning. Get it done. You know how much it's going to take. You know how much he's going to be asking for. Get it done, man. Come on, man. Get it done. Sign Smitty. All right, moving on to the Flyers. They are in action tonight in Buffalo, and man, oh man, do we have ourselves a sprint here for the final playoff spot. So last night, the Penguins beat the Capitals, and all of a sudden, don't look now, the Penguins are only 2 points back of a wild card spot. The Islanders won in Columbus, so they are now tied with the New York Islanders and your Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers are still holding on to the third seed, they're the third team in the Metro Division. Then you got the Islanders, the Islanders are now tied with the Flyers. I apologize. The Flyers are 1 up on the Detroit Red Wings and the Washington Capitals, and they're the Penguins only 2 games back. So you have, 5 teams battling for 2 spots here, and they're all within 2 points of each other. Whoo, baby, it's going to be fun. But that does lead me to today's question of the day. How invested are you into this Flyers playoff push? Are you all in? Are you in, but you focus on the Phillies and the Sixers first? Are you just kind of like, or are you in the what's hockey camp? Let me know. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. How invested are you in this Flyers run? For me, I will be watching. I'll be flipping between the Phillies and this Flyers-Sabres game tonight. I'm all in, man. I've been following this team from the very beginning. We go back to when we did a Flyers preview, and I told you now's the time to get in on the ground floor. Tortorella's got me ready to run through walls. I'm all in. Are you? Let me know how you're feeling about this Flyers run. 267-495-8531. Are you all in? Are they? You're in, but Sixers and Phillies are going to take priority. Are you just like, whatever, it's hockey? Or are you in the what's hockey camp? Let me know. And also let me know your favorite WrestleMania moment. Was it when the unstoppable force met the immovable object like me at WrestleMania 3? Let me know. All right. Phillies are in action tonight down in D.C. We need a good bounce back from Aaron Nola. I'm not even going to lie. If the offense struggles tonight and Aaron Nola struggles, I'm starting to worry. This is a team that the Phillies should be able to score some runs against. Nola should be able to look pretty good against. And if that doesn't happen, I'm going to start worrying. I think we'll be fine, but I need to see consistency tonight. You know who's consistent every time, and that is phillygoat.com. I told you about the shoes. If you didn't already, go back to, I believe it was Tuesday. Look at the episode on YouTube. Look at the shoes. I got the Fans, the Schmitties, and the Cape Mays. These things are so good. Such good quality. Get a shirt to match. Gear up. Get the Fans. I'm seeing so many people on my Facebook feed now that have the Fans. So many people have been buying them. Use the promo code. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Make sure you're getting me credit as well as take the 10% off, man. Buy some shirts. The Phillies will get better. So load up on your Philly stuff now. Get in. Get stuff for the Flyers. They have the I forget what they're called, but the grit, they have gritty ones. Like, get gritty and get ready for the Flyers playoff push. If I didn't think my wife would possibly be ready to serve me with divorce papers if I just bought every single pair, I would have bought the gritties too. It was a tough decision. If you're a Flyers person, go get the gritties. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. All right. Today, we're going to go back to 1967. And on this day in 1967, the Sixers beat the Celtics 115-104 at Convention Hall to take a commanding 3-0 lead in the Eastern Division Finals, which back then it was just the East and the West divisions. So this was to see who was going to go to the NBA Finals. Hal Greer led the Sixers with 30 points. John Havlicek had 33 for the Celtics. Bill Russell missed a triple-double by 1 assist. He had 10 points, 29 rebounds, 9 assists. But the big story, and it's been a while, and I tell you all the time, every time we talk about him, I tell you we could do it. My Uncle Randy had the Philly Goat shirt on when we were out for March Madness of this guy holding up the 100-point sign. So if you're a Wilt fan, go to Philly Goat and get the Wilt thing. But Wilt Chamberlain also missed a triple-double on this day by 1 assist. He had 20 points, 41 rebounds, and 9 assists. You heard that right. 41 rebounds in essentially a conference championship game or playoff game. That 41 rebounds is an NBA record that still stands today. And I went back through just to see if I could see some for comparison. Like the top 20 rebounding performances in the playoffs, except for like 3, belong to Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell. So I couldn't even tell you at this point the modern day playoff record for rebounds, but I do know it's not close to 40 because it wasn't. I couldn't even get. I think the lowest I use StatMuse a lot, and the lowest I could get to was in the 30s. And like I said, there's three or four random players here or there in the 70s. But it was Wilt and Bill. But 41 rebounds in a playoff game. It's an NBA record. We all know what happened that 66-67 season for the Sixers. They would end up beating the Celtics 4-1 in the East Division semis. They went 68-13, which is still, to this day, the 5th best regular season record of all time. We know they won the championship. But just one of the greatest teams ever assembled was this 66-67 team. But on this day, it was the Sixers beating the Celtics 115-104. Wilt Chamberlain having 41 rebounds, which is an NBA playoff record. We talked before, he owns the NBA regular season record as well with 55 in a game. And again, I could do this day in Wilt Chamberlain history and not run out of content. And I will say, I think when I say it all the time, I'm going to continue to say it until somebody tells me, can prove to me it's wrong. You have Wilt Chamberlain and then everyone else when it comes to the GOATs in the NBA. But on this day, Sixers 115-104 over the Celtics in the East Division Finals. Wilt Chamberlain, 20 points, 41 rebounds, and 9 assists, setting the NBA playoff record for rebounds in a game with 41. All right, today's top 20 Citizens Bank Park memory in honor of the 20th anniversary of Citizens Bank Park. We're going to go back to Game 2 of the 2008 NLDS against the Brewers. This took place on October 2nd, 2008. The Phillies already had a 1-0 lead in that series. 46,208 fans showed up, which at the time was the largest crowd ever at Citizens Bank Park. to see Brett Myers face CC Sabathia. Sabathia just was outstanding when he came over to the Brewers from Cleveland that season. He was only pitching on 3 days rest, though. And he gave up back-to-back one-out doubles in the third inning to Jason Worth and Pedro Feliz, which tied the game at 1. Then Brett Myers came to the plate with 2 outs, and Brett Myers admittedly was not a good hitter. He forced a 9-pitch walk. And if you remember watching this game, like, he fouled off a couple pitches. The crowd was going nuts. He took a couple close ones that could have gone either way. But he walked, and it started to rattle CC a little bit because he was making him throw some pitches. J-Roll came up, the next hitter, walked on 4 pitches to load the bases, and up stepped the flying Hawaiian with the bases loaded. Hit a grand slam to break that game wide open. Brett Myers would later in the game have another 10-pitch at bat against CC Sabathia. His second time up, he would fly out to center. Brad Lidge would come in and save the game. Phillies won Game 4, ultimately moving on to the NLCS, and we all know how that season played out. But on this day, and it was tough to pick which of these moments, so I just picked the whole game because Victorino's grand slam in and of itself could have made the list. Brett Myers at bats either one could have made the list. So why not do both? Game 2 of the 2008 NLDS against the Milwaukee Brewers, where Brad Lidge had made CC Sabathia throw him 19 pitches in 2 at-bats, and Shane Victorino broke the game open with a grand slam, sending the Phillies to the NLCS to take on the Dodgers. Like I said, we know how that rolled out. But today's top 20 Citizens Bank Park memory for their 20th anniversary is Game 2 of the 2000 NLDS against the Milwaukee Brewers. I remember sitting in my apartment on Ridge Avenue in Roxborough watching this game. Luckily my neighbor was nocturnal, so he was up anyway, but just screaming. So what a memory, what a game. Like I said, I couldn't decide between Victorino or Brett Myers' hit, so I just picked the whole game because it's my list and I can do whatever I want. Just kidding. All right. And finally today, our Philly sports team with unfinished business who left a little bit of meat on the bone. I feel as though this team left a lot of meat on the bone. And that's the 1979-80 Flyers. They were the Patrick Division champions, thanks in part to a 35-game unbeaten streak that stretched from October 14th to January 6th, which still to this day stands as the North American sports record for any sport: soccer, football, baseball, hockey, basketball, whatever, like lacrosse, whatever. It is the North American record for consecutive wins. I guess professionally. I guess you could have some college teams that thinking like UCLA or the UConn women or something, but professional North American record, 35 games unbeaten. They finished 48, 12, and 20, scoring 116 points, which was 25 more than second place, the New York Islanders. They went 11-2 throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs, going to the Stanley Cup Finals, and then they ran into a dynasty in the making. They lost to the New York Islanders in the Stanley Cup Final, 4-2. But I bring this up because it was not without controversy. In the clinching game, it was tied, and the Islanders were clearly offsides. But linesman Leon Sickle, if you're a Flyers fan, I know that name probably brings up some feelings for you. He called it an onside, but it was so obvious that the Islanders were offsides that a lot of the Flyers stopped playing because they just assumed that the ref was going to blow the whistle. The Islanders were able to go in and score the go-ahead goal. Flyers did battle back, put this game into overtime, but the Islanders ended up winning. And this was the start of the Islanders winning 4 straight Stanley Cups. This was a turning point and a controversial one that could have changed the outcome of the series, but the Flyers didn't play well. They were very undisciplined throughout that whole series, so they kind of cost themselves. But this really would have changed that whole momentum, because the Flyers had the lead at that point, and it changed the whole momentum and outlook. And like you get frustrated, and if you're already playing undisciplined in a series, you start pressing more. So Leon Sickle, the linesman, was the GOAT in this one. But it was not meant to be. The 1979-80 Flyers, probably one of the better Flyers teams in team history. Like I said, thanks in part to a 35-game unbeaten streak, just could not close the deal against the Islanders. And I mention this every time we talk about the Flyers losing in the Stanley Cup. They always seem to lose to a team that is on the brink of doing something great. Or in the middle of doing something great, whether it's the Oilers, the Islanders, the Red Wings, even the Blackhawks most recently. So it stings a little bit, but the 1979-1980 Flyers, they are today's Philly sports team with unfinished business. And I think if you'll ask any Flyers fan, this team left a lot of meat on the bone, because it really changed the whole complexion of the way things ran. I mean, because they dominated the Islanders in the regular season, and I think there's just something that gave the Islanders the confidence and set it up. The Islanders actually, I think, went to 5 straight Stanley Cup Finals, winning 4 of them. But the 79-80 Flyers left a ton of meat on the bone, and they're today's Philly sports team with unfinished business. Our Citizens Bank Park top 20 memory for the 20th anniversary was Game 2 of the NLDS in 2008 against the Brewers. Shane Victorino hit the grand slam. Brett Myers made CC Sabathia work harder than what he was anticipating en route to that World Series title. On this day in 1967, Wilt Chamberlain had 41 rebounds, setting an NBA playoff record in the Sixers' 115-104 win over the Celtics. Let me know how invested you are in the Flyers. Are you all in? Are you watching them, but Phillies and Sixers are taking priority? Are you kind of just like, Or are you in the what's hockey camp? Let me know, 267-495-8531. When you call in or text, be sure to let me know your WrestleMania moment. Is it when I picked up the Giant at Pontiac Silverdome in front of 93,000 fans? Let me know. Sorry, I'm getting a little hyped up for WrestleMania, and it's Friday. The sun's out. There's no rain today. It's a little chilly, but listen, I can deal with that. But let me know what you think. Go have yourselves a Friday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Happy birthday to the original Philly GOAT. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.